Round 9, Madison Square Garden, March 8, 1971. Muhammad Ali had Joe Frazier right where he wanted him. One more combination would have ended the fight, but then Ali did something no one in the history of boxing had ever done. He stopped his attack. What Frazier whispered in that moment remained a secret for 45 years, until his son revealed it at Ali's funeral. If this story of hidden compassion touches you, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below telling us about a time you chose mercy over victory. Now let's dive into one of the most beautiful mysteries in sports history. This fight was called the Fight of the Century, and everything about it was grand. 2,455 people packed Madison Square Garden. Another 300 million watched around the world via closed-circuit television. The largest purse in boxing history, $2.5 million for each fighter. But the true weight of that night wasn't measured in dollars or viewers. It was measured by what the two men carried into that ring. Muhammad Ali was 29 years old, and he was fighting for his life. Not just his boxing life, but his real life. 3.5 years earlier, he had refused the draft into the U.S. Army, citing his religious beliefs and opposition to the Vietnam War. The government stripped him of his heavyweight title, banned him from boxing, and tried to put him in prison. He fought the case all the way to the Supreme Court, but the damage was done. His prime years, from 25 to 28, were stolen from him. Now, at 29, he was trying to reclaim what was lost. But Ali wasn't just fighting for himself. He carried the hopes of everyone who opposed the war, everyone who opposed injustice, everyone who believed that principle was more important than popularity. The pressure was crushing. If Ali lost, his critics would say his stance on Vietnam was cowardly. They would say he had lost his edge, that the layoff had destroyed him. Everything he had sacrificed would seem meaningless. Joe Frazier carried a different kind of burden. He was 27 years old and the official heavyweight champion, but he lived in Ali's shadow. While Ali was banned, Frazier had earned his way to the title honestly, beating the best available fighters. But Ali never stopped calling himself the people's champion. He never recognized Frazier's legitimacy. Worse, for months before the fight, Ali had mocked Frazier, calling him ignorant, calling him an Uncle Tom, even calling him a gorilla. The insults weren't just offensive, they were aimed at dehumanizing Frazier, at making him seem lesser. For Frazier, this fight was a matter of respect, a matter of proving he was the real champion, a matter of showing his children, 3 of whom sat ringside, that their father was a man who could not be broken by words or punches. His 11-year-old son, Marvis, sat in the 3rd row, watching his hero father battle the most famous athlete in the world. The first 8 rounds were a war. Both men fought with everything they had. Ali was faster, more skillful, dancing and jabbing, making Frazier miss. But Frazier was relentless, walking through Ali's punches, landing devastating body shots and hooks. Neither man was clearly winning. It was exactly the kind of close, brutal fight that could be decided by a single moment, a single punch, a single round. But something was happening to Joe Frazier that few noticed. His left eye was swelling badly. In the 7th round, Ali had landed a sharp right hand directly on Frazier's orbital bone. The eye immediately began to close. By the end of the 8th, Frazier could barely see out of it. Between rounds, the ring doctor examined Frazier's eye and spoke quietly to Eddie Futch, Frazier's legendary cornerman. "One more solid hit to that eye," the doctor said, lowering his voice so the crowd wouldn't hear. "And I'm stopping this fight. His orbital bone is compromised. One more impact could cause permanent damage." Frazier heard every word. His heart sank. He had prepared for this moment for months. His children were watching. The whole world was watching. And now the doctor was talking about stopping the fight because of his eye. When the bell rang for the 9th round, Frazier pushed himself off his stool and walked to the center of the ring. His legs were tired. His eye was nearly swollen shut, but he wasn't going to quit. He was going to make Ali stop him. Muhammad Ali came out for the 9th round with renewed energy. He saw Frazier's damaged eye. Angelo Dundee, Ali's brilliant cornerman, had seen it too. As Ali stood up to leave the corner, Dundee grabbed his arm and gave clear instructions. "Left hook to that eye," Dundee said urgently. "He can't see it coming. One clean shot and this fight is over. Finish him, champ." Ali nodded. He knew exactly what he had to do. In boxing, when your opponent has a damaged eye, you attack it ruthlessly. It's not cruelty, it's strategy. That is how fights are won, and Ali needed to win this fight more than ever. The 9th round began, and Ali started setting up his attack. He circled to the right, away from Frazier's good eye, forcing Frazier to turn and look for him. Frazier, as always, kept coming forward, but Ali could see he was struggling. The damaged eye was failing him. Frazier was leaving openings, dropping his left hand, exposing the injured side of his face. A minute into the round, Ali saw his opportunity. Frazier threw a wild left hook that missed badly, and the momentum threw him slightly off balance. For a moment, Frazier's damaged eye was completely exposed. Ali was in the perfect position. His left hand was cocked, loaded, ready to deliver the finishing blow. It was the same left hook that had knocked out dozens of opponents, the same punch that had made him famous. But in that split second, something happened that changed everything. Joe Frazier looked at Muhammad Ali with his one good eye. In the chaos of 20,000 screaming fans, in the middle of the most important fight of their lives, Joe Frazier said something so quiet that only Ali heard it. "My kids, man." Frazier's voice cracked, barely audible through the roar. "They are right here, front row. Don't let them see me stopped, please." Time seemed to freeze. Ali's fist was already in motion. His body was already committed to the punch. But something in Frazier's voice, not fear, but desperation, the plea of a father who didn't want his children to see him humiliated, made Ali hesitate. For a fraction of a second, Muhammad Ali looked past Frazier into the crowd. 3 rows back he saw them, Joe Frazier's children. The oldest couldn't have been more than 11. They stood there screaming for their father. Their little faces were full of pride and terror, watching the man they loved more than anything in the world getting hurt by the most famous man in the world. Ali's punch landed, but not where it was supposed to. Instead of a devastating left hook to Frazier's damaged eye, Ali pulled it back at the last moment and hit his shoulder. It was an adjustment so subtle that almost no one in the arena noticed, but it happened. Frame-by-frame analysis years later confirmed it. Muhammad Ali, in the most important fight of his life, deliberately pulled his most dangerous punch. What happened in Ali's mind in that moment is something only he could fully understand. Here is what we know he was thinking. He desperately needed this victory. His career depended on it. His financial future depended on it. His legacy depended on it. He had sacrificed 3.5 years of his prime for his principles. He had been stripped of his title, banned from his profession, vilified by half the country. This fight was his chance to prove it was all worth it. One punch to Frazier's damaged eye would have settled everything. He would be vindicated. He would be champion again. But then there were those children. 3 little kids watching their father fight the biggest battle of his life. Ali thought of his own childhood, of looking up to his heroes, of what it meant to watch someone you love get destroyed in front of your eyes. He remembered all the times he had been called names, humiliated, dehumanized. He knew what it felt like to be stripped of dignity. And in that impossible moment, Muhammad Ali made a choice that cost him everything. For the remaining 2 minutes and 47 seconds of the 9th round, Ali completely changed his strategy. He stopped attacking Frazier's eye. Instead, he threw body shots. He danced away. He created the appearance of a competitive fight, but avoided the one punch that could have ended it. Angelo Dundee was screaming from the corner, confused and furious. "What are you doing?" Dundee yelled. "Finish him. He's hurt." But Ali didn't finish him. He gave Joe Frazier time to recover, time to survive the round, time to continue fighting in front of his children with his dignity intact. The bell rang, ending the 9th round, and both fighters returned to their corners. Frazier's eye was still damaged, but the crisis had passed. The ring doctor examined him again and decided he could continue. Eddie Futch looked at his fighter in amazement. Somehow, impossibly, Frazier had survived a round where he should have been finished. The fight continued for 6 more brutal rounds. In the 15th round, Joe Frazier landed one of the most famous punches in boxing history, a devastating left hook that sent Ali flat on his back. Ali got up and finished the fight, but when the scorecards were read, Joe Frazier had won by unanimous decision. Muhammad Ali had lost, his first professional defeat. His comeback had failed. The critics pounced immediately. They said Ali had lost his edge during the layoff. They said he was overrated. They questioned whether his stance on Vietnam had been worth it. They said he would never be the same. At the post-fight press conference, a reporter asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Ali, you had Frazier in the 9th round. His eye was damaged. Why didn't you finish him? Ali, his face swollen and bruised, forced a tired smile. Joe Frazier is a warrior. You don't stop a warrior that easily. He's the champion. He proved that today. No one understood what Ali really meant. No one knew about the whisper, about the children, about the choice that changed the fight. In his dressing room, Angelo Dundee confronted Ali privately. You threw that fight in the 9th, Dundee said, his voice a mix of confusion and disappointment. You had him. I've been in your corner for years. I know when you go for the kill. You didn't go. Why? Ali looked at his old friend and cornerman. I didn't throw anything, Angelo. I made a choice that cost you everything. Ali paused, then said something Dundee would remember for the rest of his life. Maybe I lost the fight, but maybe I won something more important. Dundee didn't understand. Not then. Not for years. What no one knew was that after the fight, long after the reporters had left, long after the arena had emptied, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier shared a private moment in the hallway between their dressing rooms. Frazier, his face battered, his eyes completely swollen shut, walked up to Ali. Thank you, Frazier said quietly, for the 9th round. Ali looked at him and said just 3 words, We're even now. And they were. Ali had given Frazier something more valuable than a victory. He had given him his dignity. In return, Frazier had given Ali something to fight for beyond arguments and principles. He gave him the opportunity to show mercy in the midst of war. But that night, they reached an agreement. They would never speak of the 9th round publicly. The world didn't need to know. It was between them, between 2 warriors who understood that some things are more important than winning. For the next 45 years, that secret remained buried. Ali and Frazier fought 2 more times. Ali won both, including the legendary Thrilla in Manila in 1975, one of the most brutal fights in history. Publicly, they maintained a complicated relationship. Frazier often spoke bitterly about Ali's insults before the fights, but those who knew them well noticed something else, a deep, unspoken respect. In 2002, when both men were in their 60s, Ali battling Parkinson's disease and Frazier dealing with his own health issues, they met privately at Ali's home in Michigan. No cameras, no reporters, just 2 old warriors whose fighting days were long gone, whose bodies were broken by the sport they had given everything to. They talked about their fights, their families, their regrets, and they talked about the 9th round. Frazier once again duly thanked Ali for the gift given decades earlier. Ali, whose speech had slowed due to Parkinson's, whose hands trembled, managed to convey what he had always wanted Frazier to know. You would have done the same for me. Frazier smiled. Maybe, but you did it first. In November 2011, Joe Frazier died of liver cancer at the age of 67. Muhammad Ali, too ill to travel, released a statement. The world has lost a great champion. I have lost a brother. Most people assumed it was a standard condolence, They didn't understand the depth of that word, brother. But the full truth of the 9th round remained hidden until June 10th, 2016, when Muhammad Ali himself passed away at the age of 74. At Ali's funeral in Louisville, Kentucky, over 15,000 people gathered to honor the legend. Former President Bill Clinton spoke. Comedian Billy Crystal spoke. Boxing champions from around the world paid their respects. But the most powerful moment came when Marvis Frazier, Joe's son, took the microphone. He was 56 years old, no longer the frightened 11-year-old boy who had watched his father fight for his life. He looked out at the massive crowd and said something no one expected. "I want to tell you something about Muhammad Ali that no one knows," Marvis began. His voice was steady but emotional. "Something my father made me swear not to tell until both men were gone." March 8, 1971. I was 11 years old, sitting ringside at Madison Square Garden with my brothers and sister, watching my father fight Muhammad Ali. The crowd was quiet, sensing something big was coming. "Round 9, Marvis continued. "My father's eye was badly damaged. He was hurt. Ali had him where he wanted him. I was 11 years old, and I was terrified. I thought I was about to watch my father get knocked out in front of the whole world. My father looked at Ali and said something. I couldn't hear from where I sat, but I saw Ali's face change. I saw his punch bounce off. People in the audience leaned forward, completely focused. For years, I didn't understand what happened. The media said Ali got tired. They said he lost his killer instinct. But in 2011, when my father was dying, he told me the truth. He begged Ali, 'My kids are watching. Don't let them see me stopped.' And Muhammad Ali, this man the media portrayed as arrogant and selfish, made a choice that cost him everything. He pulled his punches for the rest of the round. He gave my father time to recover. He gave my father the dignity to lose on his feet, not on his back." Tears streamed down Marvis's face, and he wasn't alone. Throughout the massive arena, people wept openly. "Ali lost that fight," Marvis said. "Lost his undefeated record. Lost millions of dollars in future earnings. Lost the mystique of invincibility. But he gained something more important. He gained my father's respect. He gained a brother. He proved that even in the most brutal sport in the world, there is room for mercy." Marvis paused, looking at Ali's casket covered in a white cloth. "My father and Ali fought 3 wars in the ring, but in the 9th round of their first fight, they showed us something more powerful than violence. They showed us humanity. Muhammad Ali wasn't the greatest just because of his skills. He was the greatest because, in a moment when he had every reason to be ruthless, he chose to be human. That is the man we honor today. Not just a champion, but a man who knew that some victories aren't worth the price." When Marvis finished speaking, there was a moment of profound silence, and then the entire arena erupted in applause. But it wasn't the kind of applause you hear at sporting events. It was the sound of thousands of people whose understanding of greatness had been fundamentally changed. In the days following Ali's funeral, Marvis Frazier's revelation became international news. Sports historians went back and analyzed the footage of the 9th round frame by frame, and they found it. The moment when Ali's left hook, already in motion, changed trajectory in the final microsecond. Biomechanics experts confirmed Marvis's words. It was physically impossible for that punch to change direction on its own. Muhammad Ali had consciously pulled back the most important punch of his career. Arthur Mercante, the referee who officiated that fight and was alive at 95, gave an interview confirming what he had seen. "I was 3 feet away from them," Mercante said. "I saw Ali's face when Frazier said something to him. I saw the punch change. I didn't realize it then, but I do now. I witnessed the most remarkable act of sportsmanship I have ever seen." This story changed how people perceived Muhammad Ali. Yes, he was a great boxer. Yes, he was a cultural icon and a civil rights hero. But the 9th round revealed something deeper. Ali understood that true strength isn't just winning, It is knowing when not to use your full power. It is recognizing the humanity in your opponent, even in the midst of war. Today, the story of the 9th round has become legendary. The Boxing Hall of Fame created the Round 9 Award for sportsmanship, presented annually to fighters who show mercy and respect in the ring. Medical experts confirmed that Ali's decision likely saved Frazier from permanent blindness. The eye injury Ali could have inflicted might have shattered Frazier's orbital bone and caused irreversible damage. But beyond awards and analysis, the 9th round teaches us something universal about what it means to be truly great. Muhammad Ali had every reason to destroy Joe Frazier that night. Frazier had questioned his manhood, mocked his principles, taken the title that should have been his. Ali needed to win. His career, his finances, his legacy, everything depended on it. But in the decisive moment, Ali chose compassion over victory. He chose to see Joe Frazier not as an opponent to be destroyed, but as a father trying to remain a hero to his children. And by making that choice, Ali lost the fight, but won something far more valuable. He proved that greatness isn't just what you can do, it's what you choose to give up when you have all the power. Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali fought in the ring 3 times. They inflicted brain trauma, broken bones, and permanent physical damage on each other. They gave each other something else too. Proof that even in the most brutal war, there is room for mercy. That even the bitterest enemies can become brothers. That the strongest punch is sometimes the one you don't throw. The referee's hands shook as he raised Joe Frazier's hand in victory that night in 1971. But Muhammad Ali's hands were steady. He knew what he had done. He knew what he had sacrificed. And he knew it was worth it. 45 years later at Ali's funeral, when Marvis Frazier finally told the world what his father and Ali's had kept secret for decades, those same hands, the hands that threw the most important punch in boxing history, were at rest. But their legacy was just beginning. Because the story of the 9th round isn't really about boxing. It's about the moment when winning becomes less important than humanity. It's about choosing mercy when you have every right to be ruthless. It's about understanding that some fights are won by not fighting. That is what made Muhammad Ali the greatest. Not speed, not power, not his record, but the understanding that true champions know when to be ruthless and when to be human, and that sometimes being human is the hardest test of all. The round Muhammad Ali refused to fight became the very round that defined his greatness. And somewhere, in the place where great warriors go when their fighting days are over, 2 old friends finally found peace, bound by a secret that took 45 years to reveal, but one that will live forever. Some victories aren't worth the price. Some fights are won by not engaging. And sometimes, the greatest act of strength is to hold back a punch when you have every reason to throw it. That is the truth Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier taught us in the 9th round. That is the lesson that transcends boxing, transcends sports, transcends everything. It is the lesson of what it means to be truly great. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever chosen mercy over victory? Have you ever held back a punch when you had every reason to throw it? Share your 9th round below.